So, good evening to all of you. We are meeting like our parliament only, once in a while. Right. Only difference is that the parliament, even in those meetings, also do not function. Right. So, let us go back to what we were discussing. We were discussing about self-help groups. So, what we have said is that these self-help groups had come into existence because neither the society nor the state was willing to help women. Society because of the traditions and customs, patriarchal mindset, whereas the state, because political parties are not that much interested in the empowerment of women because women are not a powerful pressure group. That is when the women had come together and started helping themselves in the name of these self-help groups. And what we mentioned is that a self-help group consists of around 20 maximum rural women, and they are mostly from socially and economically backward sections, mostly belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribe women. And then they would come together, pool their resources, and start a self-help group. And they would produce the goods which are mostly used for consumption in rural markets. And they would share the profits among themselves. The objective is economic independence. As we have discussed also, if a woman is the earning member of the family, she needs ensure that the family will overall be empowered. She can ensure better education to her children, and she can also ensure better health as well as a better standard of life. That is the reason why if a woman is empowered, it results in the overall empowerment of the family also. And then we are talking about the major challenges faced by self-help groups. I think that's the same thing. What were the last? What is a self-help group? You have written all those things, right? So now let us see the challenges faced by self-help groups. What are the major challenges? You have written about the important features of self-help groups. What is self-help group? There you have written all the things. A group of rural women coming together. All the things you have written. Next, write down major problems faced by self-help groups in India. What are the major problems? What are the major challenges faced by self-help groups in India? What are the major challenges faced by self-help groups in India? So let us look at what are the major challenges. First one is historical and sociological factors. Historical and sociological factors. Historical and sociological factors. Write down. Indian society is mostly a patriarchal society with a feudal mindset. Historically, women are never given equal opportunities. They are never given equal opportunities like men. To develop themselves. to develop themselves. Since major occupation of people in rural areas is agriculture. It has mostly resulted in women being confined to their household. Women being confined to their household. Women are considered as a part of a family prestige and honor. As part of family prestige and honor. Family prestige and honor. And they are not allowed to go out and work. Next paragraph. SHGs, self-help groups, are more successful. They are more successful in South India compared to rest of the country, because South Indian societies are more egalitarian. Safety and security of women is also a major issue. Safety and security of women is also a major issue that comes in the way of ensuring a success of a self-help group movement. So the first major challenge we have mentioned is historical and sociological factors. Why the self-help group movement in South India initially had become very successful? Why? Because as I said, in South India there were no external threats and aggression compared to the North. South Indian societies are more peaceful, more stable during the medieval times also. There was no external aggression like in the north and northwestern part of the country. That was the reason why in the north and northwestern part of the country we have seen a situation wherein women have been forced to stay in within the households, because when they come out there is no safety and security to women. They are forced to stay within the households. Second, in North Indian society there are still in rural areas the major occupation is still agriculture only. In agriculture it is mostly an activity which is mostly confined to men. So women were asked to sit at home and they were confined to household work only. That is how the division of work had taken place. Women were expected to take care of the household, whereas men were expected to go out and work also. This is where the self-help group movement had not been successful. And why? Because when the women go out, they do not have the safety and security also. And sexual atrocities against women is also one of the reasons. There is not much of safety and security. And of course, as we mentioned, the traditions and customs. the tradition and customs is that women are considered as part of family prestige. So they would not allow women to go out and work, because if a woman is going out and working means it is an affront to family status, prestige. So you cannot allow women to go out and work. It means that you are destroying the family honor. That is the kind of mindset. That is the kind of mindset. Whereas in South India, these reform movements have taken place, especially reform movements to empower women. And the society is also more stable and peaceful. That was the reason why women were also given more opportunities. So when the self-help groups had come up in the first place, they had become very successful also in South India, especially in rural areas. Whereas this is the difference in other parts of the country. Even now also, if you look at it, more than 70% of the self-help groups in the country are concentrated only in those 5 states of South India. Why? Because of these factors. For example, look at what is the reason why? Again, you go back to historical factors. Industrial revolution. What industrial revolution has done? It led to emergence of modern societies. But if you look at most of the North Indian states, we don't have that much of industrialization of the societies. And of course, after industrial revolution, we are talking about this service sector revolution. In service sector revolution, women are given equal importance as men in terms of opportunities, because service sector, it is about your mental, it is about your IQ, intelligence quotient, than your physical strength. So women can equally compete with men also there. And that is the reason why you can say is that in service sector, women are more proactive in terms of participating in the service sector. Whereas if you look at in the states of North India, you don't find that much of service sector. How many IT companies are there in, say, Bihar, or for that matter, Jharkhand or any other states? That is the reason why women participation in labor force is also very, very less there. That is where the problem is. So patriarchal mindset, absence of industrial revolution, complete absence of service sector, and domination of agriculture, and feudal mindset, all of them combined together had led to what we call proliferation of these self-help groups. They are not as successful as in other parts of the country. Historical and sociological factors. What about industrialization in some of these states? Very less. And service sector is completely absent in some of these states. That is where it had been, for example, recently a survey was carried out in Bangalore, participation of women in labor force. And they made a comparison with some of the cities in Bihar. Obviously, it is very, very less. Why? Because, when you don't have industrialization, when you don't have a service sector, automatically participation of women will be very less. Patriarchal mindset. That is the reason why if you look at it, all these social indicators, female education, female literacy, and female, this health, all of them are very bad in some of these states. If you look at Punjab, a state like Punjab, it is doing very well in economic indicators. But when it comes to social indicators, it is doing very bad. Or same is the case with a state like Haryana. Because they are still what we call agrarian states. That is where the problem is. So now that we have written the problem, let us see the solution. What should be done? What can be done? Did we discuss these things in our previous class? No. Okay, because I don't remember what we have discussed also. Right. So let us see what should be done. So what should be done? So what do you think can be done? What do you think can be done? How to ensure participation of women? As I said, this was the question that was asked to one of our students in interview. She was asked the question, tomorrow you are made as Secretary, Minister of Women and Child Development. What are the 3 important measures would you take to ensure empowerment of women in terms of their priority, order of priority? What is the first, what is the second, and what is the third? Awareness and health, okay. Okay. First and foremost, it is the same thing, You have to ensure safety and security. You know, in public places, within the offices, within the household also. Safety and security. You know, in developed countries, here the women participation in labor force is very high. In countries like UK, USA, more than 95% of women are part of labor force. Safety and security. In India, it is only around 27%. This 27% is also only because of feminization of agriculture. Otherwise, women participation in the service sector is very less. Industrial sector is almost zero. Industrial sector it is almost zero. Why? Because the patriarchal mindsets. That is where the problem is. Narayana Murthy's wife, Sudha Narayana Murthy, in 1980, 1979, she had applied for the post of an engineer in Tata, and they have rejected her application, saying that these positions are only reserved for men. And she had written to Ratan Tata, asking why this is the thing. Ratan Tata immediately apologized to her, and she was given a job there. That is the kind of mindset, industrial sector. And 1980 and 2023, there is not much of change. There is what we call a glass ceiling within the private sector. What is this glass ceiling? It is believed that women are not suitable for key strategic positions within the organization. They are not given any responsibilities because they believe that women are not capable of carrying out those responsibilities. That kind of, we still did not have a female Chief Justice in the last 75 years of our independence. Why? We don't have a female Cabinet Secretary. Please remember, I'm not saying this is bad. Right? I am teaching all the things because it is part of our syllabus. It does not mean that I believe in all these things, right? I said initially that whatever we are discussing as part of this, only from examination point of view, right? So what is the reason why we did not have any female Cabinet Secretary till now? Or for that matter, women Chief Justice till now? Pardon? Why? Women are not? They are not fighting for themselves. So I think they are busy fighting for you. Right. And look at these multinational companies. In America, you have female CEOs. How many female CEOs are there in India? Indra Nooyi, Pepsi. And how many female CEOs are there in India? That is what we say. There is a glass ceiling in politics. There is glass ceiling in judiciary. There is glass ceiling in private sector. Why? Because this is the kind of attitude that we have towards women in our society. That is where the problem is. And that is the reason why this women development has always remained on paper. Every political party will say that they are working for women only. In reality, as we studied in polity also, our political system is characterized by contradictions and paradoxes. What they say is different from what they do. What they say is different from what they do. Right? This parliament has passed this 33% women reservation bill. Why they are not implementing it from next year general elections? Why do we have to wait for the coming census also and delimitation also? And that too only for 15 years. Right? No, that is what we say, the mindset. That is where the problem is. So, at the end of the day, it is all about changing the mindset. As we study in our ethics paper, how would you change the mindset of people? How would you change the values? Have you studied ethics? Yes? Little bit? Full? No. Okay. So you have become semi-honest. Right? So how do you change the values of people? Attitudes, values of people? Pardon? How? That's what I am saying. like heart transplantation, brain transplantation. To have that kind of brain transplantation, please remember you must have brain also, right? Please don't mind, right? So what is it? How do you change? How do you change the value system of people? What is social influence? How do you change the mindset? How will you change the attitudes and values of people? Pardon? Brainwashing. Right? Let us start with your only. Right. Yes, you change the mindset with the help of so many things. First one is education. You must ensure gender sensitivity in our education system. You must ensure gender justice in our education system. You must focus on gender empowerment in our education system. Then we talk about role models in our society. That is what we study in ethics paper, all these things. This is how you change the value systems. And then you use powerful symbols, for example, religious symbols to change the mindset of the people. You use religious symbols because people are easily attracted to religion, right? They will believe something. As we study in ethics paper, the most important factor that influences the ethics of people, values of people is religion. We are always guided by religious symbols or religious tenets. Use the same religious tenets to explain the importance of women in the societies, right? And then we can also use these leaders in the society. If the leaders can through their actions, they can also influence the behavior of people. For example, tomorrow BJP comes and says that irrespective of this reservations, 33% reservations, we are going to give 33% for women in the 2024 elections. That is what this year the essay topic was also asked. When there is no justice, then only charity is required. There is no justice, gender justice. That is the reason why charity in the form of 33%. Why do you want this kind of charity? Why can't you ensure justice? Right? That is where we have to change the societies. We have to completely change the value system of our societies. And then, a family. Because children learn about their values from their family, from their parents. The day when parents start treating both men and women, male child as well as female child in equal terms, automatically it can change the mindset of the people also. That is what we have to do. These are all the things that we have to do. Because any amount of legislation will not help you. Because none of those legislations are implemented in reality. We have so many legislations to empower women, but what about the outcome of those legislations? They are ineffective, totally. That is the reason why we talk about the changes. And that is what you write. What should be done? What should be done? Write down first safety and security of women. Safety and security of women. Safety and security of women within the households. In public places. In public places. And also in offices. In offices. You can come out with as many legislation as you want. We had this Supreme Court judgment in Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan, right? Wherein it had spoken about ensuring safety and security of women, within these offices, private offices and government offices. But whether it is being implemented or not, we know all those things. The government also had come out with a legislation. And that is where we say it is not about coming out with legislation, so we are ensuring we are coming out with what is called the quantifiable measures which can be implemented at the ground in an effective manner. That is what safety and security are. Second solution is education. Education. Education must focus on, it must focus on gender equality. It must focus on gender equality, gender parity, then gender sensitivity, and gender justice and empowerment. Gender justice and empowerment. And empowerment. That is what we say. What is the difference between equality and parity? Gender equality and gender parity. You are forcing me to go into all the social issues, because these are all part of your social issues topic, society and social issues. We say here women and development, gender and development. There are so many things. There are so many concepts here. Women in development, then women and development, and gender and development. All these concepts are different. Women in development, women and development, gender and development. What is the difference between all of them? I said in last class also, if you know about women issues, whether women are empowered or not, we don't know, but you will definitely be empowered. At least 200 to 50 marks in all your GS papers. Right? This is where you need a little bit of conceptual clarity. Women in development is what we have now. What is women in development? Whenever any economy or society grows, whenever there is any growth and development in any economy, right, it will benefit all sections of society. It will benefit scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, OBCs, poor people, and also women. That is what we say, women in development. Women, are the beneficiaries of development process like any other section of society. They are the beneficiaries of development process like any other section of society. Right? Women in development. That means they will be receiving the benefits whenever GDP increases, whenever per capita income grows, whenever employment opportunities improve. Every section of the society will benefit along with women. That is what we have. Women and development. What is this? Here women are the catalyst for development process. They are the cause. They are not the beneficiaries. Women are driving this development process. They are the cause of the development process. Women and development. Self-help groups. Through self-help groups, society is getting developed. Women entrepreneurs and women politicians, women businessmen, women engineers. They are driving the development process. They are not receiving the benefits, but they are the catalyst. They are the ones who are responsible for the development. Proactive, innovative, dynamic. So when women and development is concerned, here also there is what is called gender bias. So when we talk about women and development, we say that women can develop themselves only in some specific professions. What are the professions that are identified for women in terms of development process? what is the general opinion about the society regarding women empowerment? They are part of the service sector. Basically, they are part of medical profession, nurses, and they are part of education, teachers, and then tailoring profession. So this is what we say. We try to categorize women, saying that they are good for only these professions. They are also gender bias, right? We will not give them opportunities in politics. We will not give them opportunities in high-end business. We will not give them opportunities in judiciary. We will not give them opportunities in army, saying that they are not suitable for women. That is what we say, women in development. That is the reason why a new concept had come into existence called gender and development. That means that the development process should be completely gender neutral. Women should be given equal opportunities, and they should be treated at par with men in terms of developing themselves. No profession should be restricted only to men. Let women also participate as actively as men in politics, in business. Let there not be any glass ceiling, and let there not be any glass ceiling in judiciary. No profession should be what we call untouchable as far as women are concerned. That is what when we say gender and development. That is where we say gender parity. Let there be equality. Let there be equal opportunities. Gender parity. And that is where the societies should move towards. And unfortunately in India, we don't have, forget about the gender and development, we don't have even women and development also. In India, we have only women in development, we don't have women and development also. That is where the problem is. Women who constitute 50% of our, almost 50% of our population, if they do not participate in the development process, can the development be optimized? That is the question that we have to ask. When almost 50% of your population are not productive, can the economy, can the society be developed? The question that we have to ask. That is where we talk about women and development and gender and development. Why? Because we have not created the conditions necessary for women to develop themselves, to empower themselves. What is the solution? Very simple. You don't have to require hundreds of programs. What is the reason why female literacy is not given importance in the families? Female education. Yeah, very simple. This traditions and customs. Women are always considered outsiders in the family, because after the marriage, their surname will change. They will become part of another family. So why should the parents invest in women education? On top of it, we have also these social evils like dowry also. Right? Social evils. Should we call it as a evil? Right? Yes or no? Yes? No? Right. So we have these social evils like dowry also. As I said long time back, one of our students who was already in services, he came and he told me that, sir, make sure that I get into IAS because I'm offered 500 crores dowry if I get into IAS. And fortunately he got into IAS and he got 500 crores also. Unfortunately he did not share a single rupee also with me. Right? Huh? Right, yes. Yeah. So that is what it is. That is what, social evils also. That is where, parents believe that they don't have to spend money on women education, because anyway they have to spend money on dowry. That is where the problem is. It's a fact, it's a sad reality of our societies. That is where the problem is. Right? So, and what is the solution? Very simple. Let the government provide free education to women from kindergarten to post graduation. Let them be provided a free education so that parents do not have to spend any amount of money. Right? Parents do not have to spend any amount of money. Very simple. Why not on men? If they are provided education, they will be like you only. So no, I mean to say that they can be so good like you, right? Right, right. That is what we discussed in our previous class. See, this is for us only love. Beyond that, nothing else. So don't take, don't take my comments seriously, because I really don't mean what I say. I mean much worse than what I say. That is what Mahatma Gandhi would say all the time. If there is no laughter in my life, if there is no humor in my life, I would have been dead a long time back. Because this examination, this society is full of miseries and problems, and we should be able to laugh. Happiness, as you study in ethics paper, I don't know whether you have studied or not. Happiness is the essence of human life. What is the essence of our life? To remain happy forever. And how to remain happy, that is what we have to find out. Some people find happiness in power. Some other people find happiness in money. Some other people find happiness in everything else. That is what. So coming back here, so as we have mentioned, if a woman is educated and is economically independent, it will benefit the entire family. This is not the case with men. That is the reason why let the government focus on education of women. That is the reason. Right? We have given this example also in our last class. Right? So coming back here, we are spending a lot of time on all these things. We are already running behind the syllabus. Let us not go into all these things. Right? Let us restrict ourselves only to the class. So what we have mentioned is that first thing you have written is safety and security of women. Second one is education. Right? Next solution is media. Write down media, civil society organizations and NGOs should be used to create awareness among women. They should be used to create awareness among women about their rights. About their rights. Next, role models. Role models should be used to change attitudes, values, and behavior. Attitudes, values, and behavior of people in the society. Of people in the society. So this is what we say what should be done, right? To overcome these historical and sociological prejudices that we find in our societies, right? Next, what are the other problems related to self-help groups? Right, first let me explain those things. I have given all these things in the material. If you want me to dictate, it is honestly waste of time. But still, if you want, I will dictate. Yes, right. We will not change, right? For a change also, you will not change. So, let us see what are the other problems faced by self-help groups. The most important issue here is that the problems related to money. For example, let us assume that there are 20 members in a self-help group. If all of them are getting collecting around 5,000 rupees, so 20 into 5,000, it will be 1 lakh rupees. The question here is that with 1 lakh rupees, is it possible for you to produce something substantial, qualitative, and sell them in the market? It is too less amount of money for you to have any significant output. So most of the self-help groups are facing problems related to finances, money. right? Next, after producing them also, you will be selling them in the local markets only. Do you get any price for your products in the local markets? Even if you produce qualitative products, you will not. In local markets, you don't get any price also. And another issue here is that most of these women are illiterate and they can be easily deceived. They don't have any education. They can be easily manipulated. They can be easily cheated. So what happens is that these women, since the amount of money with them is very less, they would take loans from the local money lenders. They will take loans from the local money lenders. And these local money lenders would charge huge amount of rate of interest from these women. They would charge huge amount of rate of interest. And they would force the women to sell their products to them only. They would buy these products from the women at very less prices. And they would resell them in other markets for very high prices. So these money lenders are benefiting at the cost of women. They are working very hard, but they are not getting any return for their hard work. These are all the problems that are faced by women. So Second Administrative Reforms Commission, it went into all these problems. It has submitted 2 reports here. One is citizen-centric governance. Second one is social capital. It had discussed widely, extensively all these problems and had come out with solutions. It has suggested that rest of the states in the country can follow the model that Andhra Pradesh state government had followed in 1990s to empower women. So what is the model that they have suggested? What is the model that Andhra Pradesh state government had followed? First and foremost, what Andhra Pradesh state government has done is, as I said, creating awareness. As we study in governance, entire governance, it is all about creating awareness among the beneficiaries about their rights. Stakeholders, that is very important. You have to create awareness. So the state government has used media, local media extensively to create awareness among the rural women about the benefits of self-help groups. It has said that they can earn substantial amount of money. In those days, in 1990s, mid-1990s, the state government has said that the objective is that every rural woman should be able to earn 1 lakh rupees per year. Rural areas, 1 lakh rupees is a huge amount of money. In 1990s, in mid-1990s, our per capita income was only 40,000 rupees. They said that you earn 1 lakh rupees per year. If you join the self-help group, you can earn 1 lakh rupees. You have to create some kind of incentives for the people to become part of a change. And they said that you can earn. These self-help groups in Andhra Pradesh, they were known as DWCRA groups. DWCRA means Development of Women and Children in Rural Areas. This was a flagship scheme that was started by Indira Gandhi government as part of her anti-poverty schemes. Development of Women and Children in Rural Areas. They are called DWCRA groups in Andhra Pradesh. First one is creating awareness, which they have done by using media and other NGOs. They went to rural areas. Bureaucracy was also asked. The district collectors were asked to create advertisement blitzs there to create, so that women in rural areas will come to know about these self-help groups, the benefits of it. They said that their ultimate objective is that every member of the self-help group should be able to earn at least 1 lakh rupees per annum, per year. In those days, when per capita income is only 40,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees is 2.5 times more than the per capita income. In rural areas, in those 1 lakh rupees is a huge amount of money, right? Second, after that, they encouraged the creation of these self-help groups, registration of these self-help groups, so that they can get benefits from the government. You have to register yourself. Around 20 women should come together and they should form a self-help group, so that the government can also benefit. Next problem, as I said, is related to finances. So what did the state government of Andhra Pradesh do? They have asked the women to come with their savings. For example, all 20 of them had come out with their savings, say 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh rupees, 5,000 rupees each, 1 lakh rupees. And the state government has contributed, another 1 lakh rupees as a grant. It was given to them as grant. It has said that what are the amount of money you are saving, you are coming out with. We will provide you matching grants. They said that if you are getting 2 lakh rupees, we will give you 2 lakh rupees. So right now, what is the amount of money they have? 2 lakhs. This is where, they had come out with another solution, innovation. What we call it as SHG bank linkage. SHG bank linkage. So the state government had, linked all these SHGs to banks. And these banks have been asked to provide subsidized loans to these self-help groups. In Andhra Pradesh, normally, how do the banks provide loans? If you are starting any project, you have to show 20% of your own investment capital. Remaining 80% will be provided as a loan to you by the bank. That is how the standard practice in the banks. So here they already have 2 lakh rupees. So what is the amount of money that the banks can give you as loan? 2 lakh rupees. CSAT question, take your own time, don't rush. %80 will be given by bank. What is that 80%? How much? 8 lakhs? Two lakh is 20%. 8 lakhs? Yes? 10 lakhs? 15 lakhs? 8 lakhs? Right? So bank will give you a loan of 8 lakhs. So what is the amount they have now? 10 lakhs. What is their initial saving? With 1 lakh they could raise 10 lakh rupees. With 1 lakh they could raise 10 lakh rupees. 10 lakh rupees is a sufficient amount of money to produce something significant. And what the state government has done is that on these 8 lakh rupees loan, they don't have to pay the market rate of interest. They have to pay a very, very subsidized nominal rate of interest. The state government has introduced what is known as a Pavala Vaddi scheme. This is a Telugu term. Right? Pavala Vaddi scheme. Vaddi means interest. Pavala means 25 paise. That means they will be provided loans at 0.25% rate of interest. 0.25% rate of interest. That means it's almost zero. Highly subsidized. They are provided highly subsidized loans. Right? And recently they are provided right now zero interest loans. That means they don't have to pay any interest. They have introduced Pavala Vaddi scheme. Right now it is called Sunna Vaddi scheme. Sunna means zero. That is how this is how you empower people. Right? This is how you empower people. So they are getting this such huge amount of money at almost 0% rate of interest. They are given these loans. So the monetary part is taken care of here. With 1 lakh rupees initial investment, initial savings, they have an investment of 10 lakh rupees, which is highly, highly significant. And then the next problem is that who are these rural women? They are unskilled. They don't have any skills. Without any skills, can you produce anything which is qualitative in nature? Obviously not. So what did the state government do? The state government has started training programs to these rural women to improve their skills, to produce whatever that they want. Training programs. District collectors have been asked to provide training to these rural women in whatever they want. It can be pottery, it can be this textile, it can be anything else, painting, anything else. Whatever they want, the state government will provide them free training so that they can produce qualitative products. Right? Now, the next question is that they got the necessary skills and they are producing the goods, they are producing the commodities. The next question is how to market and how to sell them. If they are selling them in their own local village markets, will they be getting any kind of price, remunerative price? No. So what did the state government do? They have created markets for their products at the regional level, at the state level, and also at the national level. The products of these self-help groups are displayed prominently at all these places to create. If you are selling it for in your village, if you are selling it for 10 rupees, in Delhi you will be buying it for 1000 rupees. Obviously, right? They have created markets. For example, if you go to South Delhi, and there is a place called Delhi Hut, where you can find the products of self-help groups even now also. You go to Connaught Place, you can find the products of self-help groups of Andhra Pradesh even now also. You go to India Gate, right now what do you call it as? Kartavya Path. From Rajpath, it has been converted into Kartavya Path. Tomorrow Rajasthan will be renamed as Kartavyastan. No? Why? Okay, so because we have to get over all those colonial hangover. Rajasthan means the place of Rajas, right? Kings. So let us change it also. Okay, right. So coming back here, how many of you have seen India Gate? Very good. What about others? You have not seen India Gate till now? After staying in Delhi also for such a long period of time. You have been in Delhi since the times of Mahabharat. When did your class start? Last year, October, I think? More than 1 year. Right? Still you have not seen Delhi. It means that you are not at all good with cultural activities. If you go to India Gate, just behind India Gate, you have seen so many small tents. In those tents, if you see, the products of self-help groups from all over the country are prominently displayed. That is what we say, creating markets for the products of self-help groups. Central government is encouraging the self-help groups from all over the country to come and set up their there's commercial centers there, so that they can also get remunerative prices for their products. That is what Andhra Pradesh state government also has done. They have set up regional, state and national markets they have created, so that they can get best remunerative prices for their products. This also helps them in removing all the middlemen who will be benefiting out of the hard work of these self-help groups. Right? Next, the state government also has used e-governance, what we call it as B2B and B2C solutions, to create international market for these products also. This is what they have done. And with all these measures, what happened? They could achieve their objective. That is, making sure that every member of self-help group would earn at least 1 lakh rupees per year. In rural areas, that is a huge amount of money. Automatically, it led to improvement in their overall society also. It led to improvement in the education, health of their children, improving in the standard of life also. So as I said, recently the state government has done more things. They have recognized the capability of these self-help groups in influencing electoral outcomes. So what they have done is that, yes, these self-help groups have resulted in economic independence. They wanted to transform that into political empowerment. As we studied in our 73rd, 74th amendments, what the state government has done is, they have encouraged the members of self-help groups to contest elections to panchayats. And those panchayat bodies who elect the members of self-help groups unanimously, that means without any election, they are given financial incentives. Each panchayat body will be given 5 crores financial assistance. So the panchayat, they wanted this financial assistance, they kept on electing, even though the reservations are only for 33%, but you can see that maximum number of panchayats are now headed by only women, because they are getting this financial assistance. So that this economic independence is transformed into political empowerment also. Not only that, as I said, from they have moved from this Pavalavadi scheme, that is a 0.25% rate of interest, to zero interest scheme. Now the self-help groups are given loans, interest-free loans. And the government also has encouraged the self-help groups. They had come out with these measures like writing off the loans of self-help groups, so that they could use that money to again reinvest in their business also. That is what the second ERC has suggested to other states also. Some of our students who are posted in Bihar, the state government had sent these DMs, district collectors, to Andhra Pradesh to learn about how these self-help groups have transformed the societies, so that they can implement the same thing in their own state also. And they went back and they came out with the suggestions that this is what we can also do. First, to create awareness, use the media, use the civil society organizations and NGOs, use the government machinery to create awareness, so that we can have a maximum number of self-help groups, and then create the necessary conditions like opening bank accounts for these self-help groups, SHG bank linkage, and providing interest-free loans to self-help groups, and also providing matching grants to self-help groups, and also creating markets for the products of self-help groups, and finally providing skills to the self-help group members, so that they could produce quality products also. These are all the reforms that they have implemented, because of which self-help group movement had become very successful. And the basic problem in India is that in rural areas, this bank proliferation is very less. Bank branches in rural areas is very less. You go to villages, how many banks have branches in rural areas? Very, very few. Most of these private sector banks, they would open more branches in urban areas only, because that is where you have maximum amount of what you call rich people staying in urban areas, right? That is the reason why you have more branches. On the other hand, rural areas, they don't have. So it has become problematic because one, in rural areas there are not many bank branches. Second, the attitude of the bank officials also. This is very important, attitude, because most of these members of self-help groups are illiterate, poor, backward women. They cannot even go to a bank and do any kind of transactions. They cannot even sign also, because they are illiterate. So is it possible for them to go to a bank and open an account and take loans? Obviously not. And there is no sensitization of bank officials to problems of women. As I said, it's only a patriarchal society. Nobody would look at them. That is the reason why in recent times we have seen the emergence of what we call MFIs. MFI means micro financial institutions in rural areas. So what these micro financial institutions will be doing? You have bank, and you have MFIs, and then you have self-help groups. These MFIs will be acting as intermediaries between the banks and self-help groups. These MFIs will be taking loans from the banks, and these loans are again given to the self-help groups. And these MFIs will be charging rate of interest, high rate of interest than the bank rate of interest. If bank rate of interest is say 6%, these MFIs might be charging 10% rate of interest, 8% rate of interest, 10%, because they also have to earn their profits. Since this banking in India is not fully developed, even now also we don't have 100% banking. We don't have even now also I think only 80% of the people in our country have bank accounts. You must have studied this thing as part of your banking in economy. In spite of implementing Gv10 program, only 80% of the people in our country have bank accounts, and maximum number of people who do not have bank accounts are from rural areas and poor people. On the other hand, rich people have more than one bank account, right? You people have more than one bank account, I think. You have only Gv10 account, right? I can understand. Zero balance or negative balance only, right? So I also opened 20-30 accounts, Gv10 accounts in 2014. Because the government promised that in every account they will transfer at least 15 lakhs, right? So that is what. So the problem here is that in rural areas we don't have these bank branches. That is the reason why these MFIs had come up. But the only problem is that these MFIs charge huge amount of rate of interest. In Andhra Pradesh also these MFIs had come up on a large scale, and they were charging huge amount of rate of interest. It led to so many suicides also because they could not repay the loans. That is when Andhra Pradesh state government has banned these MFIs, because they were charging huge amount of rate of interest. They are all part of what is called NBFC, non-banking financial companies, right? And they are charging huge amount of rate of interest. Of course, they are definitely providing the much needed financial assistance to self-help groups, but the only problem is that they charge huge amount of rate of interest. So we can have MFIs, but they should be regulated by RBI, so that they would not be charging a huge amount of rate of interest also. So this is what we say about making self-help groups successful. These are all the problems and these are all the solutions. So do you want me to dictate all these things? Yes? Yes or no? I think I had given the material also. It is there in the printed material. Yes, what? I am not getting any answer here. No, be very much clear. There is absolutely no shame. We have lost this a long time back. Right? We have become absolutely shameless, no problem. So, you want? Still, I am not getting any answer. People are saying yes or no, I don't know what they are saying. Are they saying yes to no or no to yes, or yes to yes or no to no? Let us not waste time. If you want, I will dictate. It is as simple as that one. Highlight the key points. Okay, key points. Over. Highlight. So you can just briefly write the points, right? You don't want? No? Write the points. Briefly write. No? Why there is so much of a confusion in your mind? Huh? Right. Okay, write down important points only. I will not go into much discussion, dictation. Right? Write down important points. First, write down. Self-help groups face financial challenges. They face financial challenges. In the form of inadequate in the form of inadequate finances. It is suggested state government must provide matching grants to the amounts raised by self-help groups. Next, state governments must also ensure SHG bank linkage, self-help group bank linkage, SHG bank linkage. Next, they should be provided subsidized loans or interest-free loans Next, schemes like what is this skill mission scheme? Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Schemes like PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana, PMKVY, should be used to provide skills to self-help groups so that they can produce quality products. Next, gender budgeting should be made mandatory. Gender budgeting should be made mandatory for all developmental and welfare schemes. At the local level. So that they can be implemented with the help of self-help groups. Next, with the help of self-help groups. Next, markets should be created. For the products of self-help groups. At the regional, state and national levels. Next, economic independence is necessary but not sufficient. Distance learning programs and e-learning should be used to provide basic education to members of self-help groups. to members of self-help groups. Next, state governments should encourage members of self-help groups to contest elections to panchayats, so that economic independence can be transformed. Economic independence can be transformed into their political empowerment. Into their political empowerment. Next, sensitivity training should be provided. To bank officials, especially in rural areas, to ensure easy access to members of self-help groups. Right. Next, in recent times, MFIs, microfinancial institutions, have bridged the gap between BRIDGED, have bridged the gap between the banks and self-help groups. By providing easy credit to members of self-help groups. But it has been observed that these MFIs are charging very high rates of interest, and are exploiting SHGs. They should be brought under the ambit, AMBIT, of Reserve Bank of India, to regulate their activities. Next, to regulate their activities. Next, e-governance can be used. To expand the market for the products of self-help groups. Right? These are all the solutions. Right? On your part, what you have to do, you have to get all these statistics. First one is, how many self-help groups are there in India at this point of time? These things are there in this year's economic survey also. How many of you have this bad habit of reading economic survey also? No, you never have a, yes, bad habit. Okay. right, economic survey had given this information. You will get this information from Ministry of Women and Child Development also. You will get all this information. How many self-help groups are there? Second, a SHG bank linkage. That means, how many self-help groups are linked to banks? What percentage of self-help groups are linked to banks? Third, what are the total amount of loans given by banks to SHGs? Right? What is total amount of loans? Next, loan repayment by self-help groups. You will be surprised to know that they have almost repaid almost 98% of their loans. 98, 99%. Self-help groups. Right? Their loan repayment is almost 98%. They are not like a big businessman in India. You must have seen recently, someone has filed an RTA application with RBI. RBI has said that in the last 9 years, they have written off 25 lakh crores of loans. 25 lakh crores. I wish I had taken some loans also. At least 2-3 lakh crores. And they will become NPA. Right? But they don't give loans to BPL. BPL people, they don't give loans. If you go to a bank and say that, give me loan of 1 lakh rupees, I want to prepare for UPSC. They will say that, give us a collateral security of 2 crores. Because they know that this loan always will become NPA. Right? Right. Loan repayment. Next. What are the total revenues of self-help groups? Total revenues of self-help groups. Total revenues of self-help groups. Next. And MFIs. What are the loans given by MFIs to self-help groups? What is the amount of loans given by MFIs to self-help groups? Next, geographical distribution of self-help groups. Geographical distribution of self-help groups. That means which part of the country has a maximum number of self-help groups. South, east, north, west, like that, geographical distribution. So this is the information that you have to get, because whenever you are writing answers, you always have to support your answers with facts. Right? And what are the examples of self-help groups in different states? Famous examples of self-help groups in different states. As I said, in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, they are called DWCRA groups. In Kerala, it is called Kutumbam Sri groups. In Gujarat, in Odisha, in different states, you have different names are given to self-help groups. Yes, in Bihar, it is Jivika. In Uttar Pradesh, that is what you find out. Right? What are the examples of self-help groups? And also, some of the famous products of these self-help groups. Products of self-help groups. These are all the things that you have to, write when you are writing answers. So when will you get this information? What? All this information. Okay, no problem. Tomorrow also I will write examination on your behalf of only. Right? Will that be better? I think rather than I am telling all these things, you are attending classes. I will go and write the examination. You become collector. Right? So, can I expect this information by tomorrow? Yes, I said that where do you get this information also? This year's economic survey has given most of the information. Rest of the information you can get from Ministry of Rural, Women and Child Development. Right? So from self-help groups, let us move on to next governance reform, e-governance. What is the source? The source is Second Administrative Reforms Commission report on e-governance, which I had given to you also. The synopsis of that report. I have given you the second year's report synopsis, right? Have you opened it? No? Yes. Have you read it? Right. Okay. So how do we proceed with this e-governance? As usual, we'll start with why do we need e-governance? Why do we need e-governance? What exactly is e-governance? What are the different stages in e-governance? What are the major problems with e-governance in India? And finally, what could be the solutions? This is what we will be discussing. Every year, the same question will be asked about the problems only. This year also, it was asked for 15 marks in governance. Right? As I keep on saying, these are all the topics where you study very less and you get more also, optimization. Right? So, let us start with the why. Why do we need e-governance? Right? Why? Because of the problems with our bureaucracy. Because of the problems with our bureaucracy. So what are the major problems with our bureaucracy? What are the major problems with the functioning of our bureaucracy? First, hierarchy. They have too much of hierarchy. Second, red tapeism. Third, time and cost overruns. Then, high levels of secrecy in their functioning. High levels of secrecy in their functioning. Then, complete absence of accountability mechanisms. Complete absence of accountability mechanisms. Then, very low quality of services provided by bureaucracy. Low quality of services provided by bureaucracy. Then there is goal displacement in the functioning of bureaucracy. Goal displacement. What is this goal displacement? Displacement. What is the objective of bureaucracy? Why these administrators are there? Why these bureaucrats are there? Their objective is to maximize welfare of people by implementing the programs and policies of the government. And how should they implement those programs and policies? Strictly according to rules and regulations. And what happened over a period of time? Rules and regulations have become the new objectives, replacing the original goal of welfare maximization. For example, as I keep on saying these things all the time, you are a district collector, an old woman comes to your house in the middle of the night. She is not carrying any documents to show that she is very old. So will you be helping that old woman or not? Yes? Yes, you will be helping that old woman, and tomorrow someone has to help you because you will be suspended. Right? Why? Because you have to implement rules and regulations. You can help her only when she carries the necessary documents. That is the reason why you go to any government office, they only talk about rules and regulations. Nothing else. They only talk about rules and regulations. Yesterday I went to some other government offices and they said that, I said that these documents are not required. Go by logic, it is not required. They said that we cannot do anything, sir. You have to submit all the documents because that is part of our rules and regulations. That is what we say goal displacement. I said that I teach these things in the class, now you are teaching me in reality. All these things. They are not required, but they say that this is part of our rules and regulations. We have to do it. We have to do it. And in front of the office, I have seen Syrian charter also. Syrian charters also. I said that please go and read the Syrian charter. And it is written just like that only. We will provide qualitative services, responsive services. What is qualitative services? Normally when you submit the application, within 1 month they should come back. And it's more than 3 months. I said that 3 months are over, still you have not responded. What happened to your Syrian charter? They said that next time if you talk like this, you know what happens. In a very polite manner. And I went there with at least 2-3 senior IAS officers who are my students there. Then also they will not do the things. In Delhi government, one of our students is a PS, personal secretary to the Lieutenant Governor in Delhi. And the student is a MCD commissioner here, one of deputy commissioners. I went with them also, then also they did not do the things. If this is the case with, going with powerful people also, what about ordinary people? Exactly, very good. Right? So, I told you now, the benefit is dowry. Right? Right. So, in your case, that is also not a benefit because someone, you have to give dowry to someone else to marry you. Right? So, coming back here, that is where the problem with our judiciary. Very bad, right? You cannot. And this is the good thing with bad people. They can say anything. Right? So coming back here, that's what I always say, we have to take things in a very, never take anything seriously. In life, never take anything seriously. Take everything sincerely. Whatever you are doing, do it sincerely. But don't take anything seriously. The major problem with our country is that we take everything seriously. We take our religion seriously, our caste seriously, our language seriously. We are emotionally attached to all those things. That is where the problem is. Right? When we take birth, we don't have any religion. Look at, unfortunately, what is happening in Israel and Hamas. Children are killed there. Do the children know that they are Jewish or they are Muslim? But they are killed. Worst kind of genocide. And can you call it moral, any kind of these wars? Obviously not. That is where you feel bad. Unarmed people are killed. Civilians are killed. Right? That is where, because we are highly emotional, attached to everything. We don't attach ourselves to only one thing, that is humanity. That is where the problem is. So coming back here, this is what we say, the rules and regulations have become the new goals of bureaucracy, replacing the original objective of welfare maximization. It is a hierarchy. They give too much of importance to hierarchy. Superior subordinates. They give importance. It results in red tapeism. The file will be going from one hierarchy to other hierarchy. I gave the examples also in our previous classes. And it results in time and cost overruns. Whenever our Prime Minister goes to America, he would say that please come to our country, I'll give you red carpet welcome. And their businessmen will say that you promise us red carpet welcome, and when you come to your country, you will get only red tapeism. They have to move around, getting all those licenses from government departments and ministries. Right? And then high levels of secrecy, we don't know what they do. And then there is no accountability. Very low quality of services provided by bureaucracy. Look at the conditions of our roads. Look at the conditions of our hospitals. Recently in Maharashtra, you must have seen, so many people died in the government hospital. Where is accountability there? Where is accountability? Very low quality of services. And look at the educational institutions, especially government schools. What is the quality of those things? That is where the problem. And then, of course, this goal displacement. How to overcome all of them? The solution lies in e-governance. Right? So what exactly is this e-governance? The World Bank has defined e-governance in very simple terms. Use of information and communication technologies. Information and communication technologies to improve the quality of service delivery mechanisms. That is what is e-governance. Use of information and communication technologies to improve the quality of service delivery mechanisms. You are using information and communication technologies. So, what exactly are the stages in e-governance? What are different stages in e-governance? We talk about 4 stages in e-governance. First one is computerization. Computerization. These things will not be asked in the examination, but we need to understand them. They will never be asked. What is this computerization? It means replacing manual work with the help of computers. You go to a bank, in the good old days, people will be writing everything in the ledger books, all the transactions. Right now, everything is done with the help of computers. You go to government offices, everywhere you find only these computers. Wherever you go. There is no manual work, computerization. And next part of e-governance, second part of e-governance is this developing intra and inter networks. Intra-networks and inter-networks. Intra-network means within the ministries and departments. For example, as we discussed, there are 57 ministries, around 93 departments in the government of India. All of them are interlinked through this intra-network. If an official working in the finance ministry, he can directly communicate with another official working in the rural development ministry. Intra-network within the organization. Inter-networks, internet. That means having every ministry and department having their own separate presence on the web. So then the third one is online presence. The third part of e-governance is online presence. That means every ministry and department will have their own personal website, which provides all the information about what are the activities they are performing, what are the functions they are performing, what are the objectives of their ministries and departments. Online presence, so that people will come to know. And the last one is online interaction. Online interaction. Not only having online presence, it provides opportunities for you to interact with the government departments and ministries. For example, take the case of UPSC. Nowadays, you can apply online only. You don't have to go to UPSC and purchase the application form and give it there. Everything right now is only online application. Similarly, you go to any ministry or department for application of these tenders, licenses, any other registration, everything can be done online. Go to that particular ministry website and you can have this online interaction. You can send emails to them. You can always ask questions, they will reply. Online interaction. These are the 4 stages in e-governance. Computerization, developing intra-networks and inter-networks, online presence and online interaction. But e-governance in India has faced so many challenges. What are all those problems of e-governance in India? Let me briefly dictate what we have discussed till now. And then we'll go to the challenges. I'll give you the break after this few minutes of dictation. People are desperately looking for a break. No? That means for a change you have changed. Right? Let's see for how long this will change continue. Okay, that means today I will not give any break. Right? So already they are asking for break online. And they are writing for break BRAKE. They are breaking break also. Right? Let us see why e-governance. Indian bureaucracy is characterized by many weaknesses, including first, rigid hierarchy. Next, second, excessive emphasis on excessive emphasis on written communication. Written communication. Third, red tapeism. Red tapeism. Fourth, time and cost overruns. Time and cost overruns. Next, high levels of secrecy. High levels of secrecy. Next, complete absence of citizen participation in governance. Citizen participation in governance. Citizen participation in governance. Next, low quality of services. Low quality of services. Next, total absence of accountability and grievance redressal mechanisms. GRMs. Accountability and grievance redressal mechanisms. Next, high levels of corruption. High levels of corruption. Next paragraph. E-governance is one of the instruments to make bureaucracy efficient, accountable, transparent, responsive and participatory in nature. All these are the features which we have seen as part of good governance. Next paragraph. What is e-governance? What is e-governance? What is e-governance? In simple terms, e-governance means the use of information and communication technologies. Information and communication technologies to improve the quality of service delivery mechanisms. To improve the quality of service delivery mechanisms. Next, stages involved in e-governance. What are the important stages involved in e-governance? Stages involved in e-governance. First, computerization. Second, developing intra and inter networks. Third, online presence. And fourth, online interaction. Right? So that is what, I don't have to give explanation for these things. I think you can write. So you can take a break for 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Take 10 years. Right? Okay. And after the break, we will look at all the major challenges and what are the solutions. That is where all the questions are asked. So this is what we said. E-governance means using information and communication technologies to improve the quality of service delivery mechanisms. What do you mean by that? You know, I have say applied for any certificate within the government. I should be able to get my certificate within a period of say 1 week or 10 days. That is what we say improving quality of service delivery mechanisms using information and communication technologies. So what is the reason why e-governance in India has faced major challenges? Why e-governance in India has not been as successful as it should have been? All these problems are asked every year in our examination. First and foremost, we say that in India we have implemented only e-government but not e-governance. That is where the problem is. We have only implemented e-government but not e-governance. Right? So what is the problem? What is the difference here between government and governance? Go back to what we discussed about governance. What did we say about governance? What is governance? We have discussed in our first class long time back. What we have said is that okay, let me tell you, okay. Thank you very much for all your invaluable feedback. Let me tell you. We said that governance is the process of taking decisions and ensuring their effective implementation. This governance can be carried out by anyone. It can be carried out by the government. It can be carried out by the private sector. It can be carried out by the NGOs and civil society organizations. It can be carried out by the pressure groups. It can be carried out by media or any other organization. All of them are part of governance. Government is one of the institutions that are responsible for governance. Of course, it is the most important institution. So what we have mentioned when we said that we have implemented only e-government, it means that we have only computerized. We have only computerized our administration. Beyond that, we have not implemented any other aspects of governance. So what are all the other aspects of governance that we have mentioned as part of good governance? Transparency, accountability, consensus oriented, participatory, rule of law, economy and efficiency, inclusiveness and equity, and responsiveness. None of all those reforms are implemented within the government. We have only replaced manual work with computers. Even there also we have not been successful, because we have not provided training to the officials working in the government to work on computers. As I told you, the other day I went to this government office, Central Secretariat. There, before entering, you have to get the visitor pass also. So the person was sitting there in front of the computer there, and he was typing my name. On the laptop, on this, in a keyboard, he was trying to find where is P. Pawan. Where is P? He went for Google search. And it took him exactly, you'll be surprised. It took him exactly 4 minutes to type my name, to find out where is P, A, like that. Because you don't know, not WV. In North India, they write it as W, in South, V, P-A-V-A-N, right? So, of course, he has typed it as W only, but it has taken half an hour for him to find out where W on there on the keyboard. You don't give them training also to work. Some time back, our Prime Minister was having a conference of the secretaries in the government of India. And he has scolded some of the secretaries because he said that please come out with a PPP, PowerPoint presentation, PPTs. They don't know what are PPTs also. Why? Because all the secretaries got into services when Ashoka was ruling India, when there were no computers. And that is where the problem is. So the basic issue here is that we have not provided any training to the bureaucracy there to use these computers. You have given them the computers, but you have not given them any training also. That is where the problem. We have only computerized, replaced the manual work with the help of with that of computers. Beyond that, nothing else. Still, all the basic problems that we have discussed with the governance in the secretariat departments, we still have 57 ministries and more than 3 departments in the government of India. We still have, as I said, 16 different hierarchical levels, and there is still so much of secrecy in the functioning of the government in spite of RTA. City and charters are there only for the namesake, without any accountability mechanisms or grievance redressal mechanisms. And there is no what is called objective performance evaluation in the functioning of bureaucracy. And there is no focus on improving the quality of service delivery mechanisms by ensuring the participation of stakeholders. And this is where the problem is. What we have done, we have only replaced manual work with the help of computers. So we have only implemented but not e-governance. We have only restricted ourselves only to e-government, only to computerization, but rest of the things, we have not implemented RTA, section 4 of RTA. We still have Official Secrets Act. And all these ministries and departments had come out with citizen charters without involving stakeholders. And there are no grievance redressal mechanisms if the promises made in the citizen charters are not fulfilled. And we still have so many hierarchical levels within the government, which they do not improve efficiency, they only ensure more red tapeism, time and cost overruns. And there is so much of secrecy within the government, and there is no participation of stakeholders in governance. That is where e-governance in India has been a failure. Because in the name of e-governance, we have only implemented what is called e-government. In the name of e-governance, we have only implemented e-government, but not e-governance. Next reason why e-governance in India is a failure. One of the objectives of good governance, as we have discussed, is inclusiveness and equity. If you remember, this is what we have mentioned. Inclusiveness and equity. One of the objectives of e-governance is inclusiveness and equity. On the other hand, what e-governance has done? It led to exclusion, not inclusion. Why? E-governance in India has resulted in what is called digital divide. This is what the latest report of Niti Aayog also says. Only 28% in our country at this point of time have access to broadband internet. Broadband internet. And this e-governance is mostly used by people from urban areas, middle class sections of society, educated. What about people in rural areas? Poor people and illiterate, they cannot use e-governance. It led to what is called a digital divide. Almost maximum number of people are excluded from e-governance. Instead of ensuring good governance, it only has resulted in bad governance. Those sections of society who badly needs this e-governance are the ones who are excluded. It has resulted in what is called a digital divide. Those who have access to e-governance and those who do not have access to e-governance. Haves and have-nots. It only benefited the rich, middle class, educated, urban, elite sections of society. Poor people simply could not benefit out of e-governance. It only led to what is called in a bad governance, but not good governance. Next problem with e-governance in India is that infrastructure. We don't have any infrastructure. As I said, only 28% of the people in our country have access to broadband in our internet. And the speed of the internet is also very, very slow in our country. Speed of the net is also very slow. You want to open any website, it will take you ages. And you want to fill in any application form, it keeps on buffering all the time. Right? Why? Because the speed is very less. Some time back, when Akhilesh Yadav was the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, he had given laptops to all the school children. And the laptops, the wallpaper is of Mulayam Singh Yadav. The moment you open it, already you will see only Mulayam Singh Yadav. And children were afraid. They started immediately closing down. Right? You have given them the laptops, but where is electricity? Where is power to charge? That is where the problem is. That is where the problem is. So, where is this 24-hour electricity? Is there any village in India which has 24-hour electricity? Including a village called Delhi? Yes. Karol Bagh is not a village, it is a tribal part. Tribal. Right? Is there any village in India that has a 24-hour electricity? That is where the problem is. We have simply not created, even take the case of villages, even all the village panchayats also do not have this kind of broadband connection. That is the reason why the government of India had come out with this project, Bharat Net project, to provide internet facilities to at least panchayat bodies. Right? That is where the problem. Infrastructure is a major issue. Infrastructure is a major issue. And this is where the digital divide can also be a problematic thing. For example, the government has introduced this reform called GST. The objective of GST is to overcome the problems of cascading effect of taxes. So that if you are a manufacturer, you should benefit out of what is called input tax credit. Right? I hope you have studied these things in your economy. Input tax credit. Right? Now, the problem here is that who have benefited out of this? Only big companies in urban areas. You are a small producer in a village. And can you benefit out of this input tax credit? Why? Because you have to file your GST returns online. And then there is no internet. It will not work. You cannot upload the documents. Uploading the documents will be a very, very tedious task, because uploading documents requires a good amount of internet speed. And secondly, most of the things are that people are digitally illiterate. You don't know how to upload the documents. Digital literacy levels in our country are very less. And most of the transactions of the government are only in English language. What percentage of people in our country can transact in English? What percentage of people in our country? Right? These are all the practical problems. These are all the practical problems. And what happened? It only benefited big industrialists, but not the poor businessmen. Why? Because we have not created the necessary infrastructure. We have not created the awareness among the people also about the benefits. There is neither physical infrastructure nor a social capital here. That is where the problem is. So it has only benefited the rich industrialists who could benefit out of this input tax credits. And if you are a small producer, small businessman in rural areas, you simply don't know how to benefit out of this input tax credit. On the other hand, you are forced to pay huge amount of taxes. Either way, you are losing out. Why? Because we have not implemented properly e-governance. Because these people, mostly illiterate people, they don't know how to log on to the websites. They don't know how to upload the documents. They don't know how to get benefit out of this input tax credits. digital literacy is very, very low in our country. And this digital divide has only resulted in what we call bad governance. We have not created the necessary infrastructure. 24-hour electricity, you don't find. And what about the, as I said, broadband? This broadband, because can you upload the documents with your mobile? No. Do you have that kind of speed? Right? But how do you upload the documents with your mobile? By how do you scan the documents with your mobile, and how do you upload them, PDF, convert them? Right? Apple. And how many people in our country have Apple phones? Right? People have only Aam Aadmi's Mango phones only. Right? We have only Chinese mobile. Right? Not Apple. That is where the problem is. Because we have not created the infrastructure. Infrastructure is a major issue. Broadband is available only to 28% of population. That is where the problem is. Next problem with e-governance in India is this cyber security. Is a major issue. Cyber security. Have you done this internal security? Very good. Always immediate answer comes all the time. The basic problem is cyber security. There are so many cyber crimes that are committed in our country. What are those cyber crimes? Fraud. Okay, what are those frauds? Have you heard about this word phishing? What is it? Recently, what happened with All India Institute of Medical Sciences? Someone sitting in China has hacked the website of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and they could not function for 1 week completely. Cyber security is a major threat. Cyber warfare is the new game as far as the fighting wars are concerned. It is more of cyber warfare. Sitting in front of your laptop, recently it was done also. Sitting in front of your laptop, you can take over the flight operating systems also. Sitting in front of your laptop. Can you imagine the kind of artificial intelligence and the problems that are related to it? Cyber security. India is still using, that is what second RC says. India is still using only second generation cyber security measures. Europe is using 5th generation cyber security measures. And recently RBI had to cancel millions of debit cards because they were hacking. And there is so much of impersonation on this virtual media. And there is so many cyber frauds that are committed. I was having my credit card, and one day I got a message that thank you very much, you have shopped for 5 lakh rupees. And this shopping was done in somewhere in Africa. Yes. And then immediately, I had to call up my bank and say that this is what happened. They said that don't worry, we will immediately stop your credit card, and you don't have to pay anything. That is what happens. And your debit card, someone will withdraw. You will get some innocent message on your mobile. You click on that message, immediately you will get another message. That entire money is withdrawn from your account. It will become true Gv10 account. Right? This is where the problem is, cyber security. There are so many crimes that are committed. India has very major problem with cyber security. Last year also it was asked in your GS paper 3 also. These financial frauds, cyber crimes that are being committed. We still have not. That is the reason why Economic Survey also has spoken about the fact that neither public sector enterprise nor banks nor private sector in India is showing much interest in coming out with foolproof mechanisms for cyber security. A major problem is this cyber security. We have developed digital public infrastructure, but this digital public infrastructure is not foolproof. This is the major problem with e-governance in India. There can be, when prominent government websites can be hacked, and they become non-functional for a period of continuously for 1 week. something like All India Institute of Medical Sciences. What about ordinary people? That is the reason why people are afraid to use this cyber e-governance also. Why? Because there is no cyber security, there is no protection. Next problem with e-governance is this data protection and data privacy. Once you say something and once you put it on something on internet, it can never be removed. It will be there on the cloud forever. And that is the reason why Supreme Court also had to come out with the judgment saying that right to forget is part of your fundamental right under Article 21 of our Constitution, right to life. Because they can take whatever the tweet that you have done 10 years back or any other statement that you have made, and they can make it viral. Recently, that is what happened to one of these Pakistani journalists. She had come to India to cover the World Cup that is going on, and she was forced to leave because she had made a comment 10 years back, and that was brought into open, and then she was forced to leave the country. There is no what is called privacy, data protection and data privacy. Another major problem with e-governance. Next problem with e-governance in India is the government has not defined, what are the objectives of e-governance. Any change can be called a reform only when moral objectives are defined. The objective of e-governance should be to ensure transparency, accountability, and improvement in quality of service delivery mechanisms. But that is not what the government has done. The government has equated only e-governance with e-government only. That is where it has been a problem. And of course, lack of awareness. People are not aware about the benefits of e-governance. As we have discussed, these citizen charters should be made available to every person. They should be written in vernacular languages. I'll just give you one example here. During the Corona times, the government had come out with this app called Arogya Setu, wherein you have to register yourself on the app to get the vaccines. Otherwise, they will not give you vaccines. And the matter went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has scolded the officials of Ministry of Health. It has said that, are you living in glass chambers? Have you lost touch with reality? This app was only in English language. How many people in our country can transact in English language? How many people in our country have mobile phones, smartphones, so that they can log on and they can get registered themselves also? Without creating infrastructure, how can you do all those things? As I said, most of this e-governance in our country is carried out only in English language. This is where the problem, lack of awareness. How many people are aware about what we call the benefits of e-governance? These are all the problems with e-governance in our country. Once we know the problems, as I said, we can easily come out with solutions. E-governance in India should go beyond e-government. The government must implement all other reforms like transparency, accountability, citizen charters, objective performance evaluation, timely delivery of services, effective grievance redressal mechanisms. Then only e-governance can be successful. For example, in police also we have implemented e-governance. You can file FIRs without going to the police station, e-FIRs. Does it mean e-governance? No, it is only e-government. Instead of going to police station, you are sitting at home and filing the FIRs. What is e-governance? Police should be able to investigate the case within a time limit and come out with the conclusion and help you. Will they do it? That is what we say. And what is the conviction rate of our police forces? That is what we say. Right? That is what we say e-governance. E-governance does not mean replacing the manual work with computers. It means improving the efficiency, ensuring transparency, fixing accountability, having effective grievance redressal mechanisms, and most importantly, improving the quality of service delivery mechanisms. Unless we implement all these other reforms, e-governance in India would remain only on paper, as only e-government. And the government has to create awareness. As we keep on saying, any developmental or welfare scheme, any reform can be successful only with the participation of stakeholders. The government has to create awareness among the people about the benefits of e-governance. And for that, you have to make sure that this e-governance is carried out in local languages, vernacular languages. And if you look at it, most of these the government sites are only either in English or Hindi. What about people from regional other languages? Can they benefit out of it? That is where we have to talk. That is where Supreme Court also scolded the government. How can you be so idiotic? That is what Supreme Court has said. So you must make sure that this e-governance is carried out in local languages. The government can come out with so many mobile applications, and most importantly, there should be effective responsive mechanisms also. You have applied for a certificate. There should be citizen charter which clearly shows that after submitting all the documents, you should be able to receive the certificate within, say, 1 week time. If you don't, the concerned official should be punished. That is what is, say, e-governance, accountability. But unfortunately, we don't have those things. That is the reason why we said that at the end of the day, e-governance in India is restricted only to e-government. And of course, the most important thing is security, cyber security. Government must ensure foolproof mechanisms to make sure that it will not be misused. And for that, as Economic Survey also has pointed out, the government should invest in cyber security measures. Banks are not willing to invest in cyber security measures, neither public sector banks nor private sector banks. Similarly, government departments are also not willing to. That is where what is required is, as I said, in India we are still using second generation security measures. In European countries they have gone to 5th and 6th generation also. That is where we need to focus more on investment in this cyber security. So these are all the reforms that needs to be implemented. Let us look at all of them with the solutions. So let us see what are the problems and what are the solutions. What should be done? First one is e-governance in India. E-governance in India is restricted. E-governance in India is restricted only to e-government. Is restricted only to e-government. Only e-government. Write down the explanation. Governance is the process of taking decisions and ensuring their effective implementation. Ensuring their effective implementation. Effective implementation. It can be carried out by multiple institutions. Multiple institutions, including the government, private sector, multilateral institutions, civil society organizations, pressure groups, NGOs, and so on. And so on. Next paragraph. E-governance in India. E-governance in India is only restricted to computerization of administrative work. Computerization of administrative work, WORK work. It has not resulted in any improvement in governance. it has not resulted in any improvement in governance. Because of the failure of government to implement other governance reforms like reducing the number of hierarchical levels in the ministries and departments, merger, MERGER, merger of ministries, citizen charters, implementation of citizen charters, right to information, RTI, social audits, effective grievance redressal mechanisms, effective GRMs, and so on. It has ultimately resulted in the failure of e-governance in India. So what should be done? We will write the solution then itself. Other governance reforms should be implemented simultaneously. Other governance reforms should be implemented simultaneously. So that e-governance can help in realizing the objectives of good governance. Next problem. E-governance in India has only resulted in digital divide. It has benefited only people from urban areas and also from elite sections of society, ELITA, elite sections of society. It has failed to benefit rural, poor, backward, and illiterate sections of our society. It only created digital divide in the country. It only created digital divide in the country. Digital divide in the country. So what is the solution here? What should be done to overcome this digital divide? Right down. Create awareness among the citizens about the benefits of e-governance. Create awareness among the citizens about the benefits of e-governance. Create awareness among the citizens about the benefits of e-governance. Then e-governance should be carried out in vernacular languages. E-governance should be carried out in vernacular languages, regional languages, local languages. Right. Next problem with e-governance is infrastructure. Infrastructure. Write down infrastructure. According to Niti Aayog reports, only 28% of our people, 28% of our population has access to broadband internet. Broadband internet. And it is restricted mostly to urban areas. Urban areas. Continuous electricity is also a major issue. Continuous electricity is also a major issue. Is also a major issue. Right. So what is the solution? The government must focus on expanding broadband internet to rural areas. Broadband internet to rural areas. So what are the programs of the government regarding this? As I said, BharatNet project is implemented. BharatNet project is implemented to provide BharatNet, BHARAT, Bharat, NET, net. Right? Recently, we have changed the name of our country from India to Bharat also. So, yes, President of Bharat. So, BharatNet project is implemented with the objective of providing a broadband internet to all panchayat offices in the country. And what about providing this internet to every citizen? I think a fiber grid project is there, national fiber grid. Have you heard about it? Yes, national fiber grid project is implemented. Fiber grid project is implemented to provide a broadband internet. To all citizens in the country. All citizens in the country. to all citizens in the country. But is it possible in a short period of time? Obviously not. Right now only 28%. How can you, when can we make it 100%? It is very difficult. So what is the solution then? What is the solution then? Mobile governance can be used. Mobile governance can be used to overcome the limitations of e-governance. Mobile governance can be used to overcome the limitations of e-governance. To overcome the limitations of e-governance. Since majority of people in our country have access to smartphones, mobile applications can be developed. Mobile applications can be developed by ministries and departments. To expand the scope of e-governance. To expand the scope of e-governance. To expand the scope of e-governance. That is what we say. Mobile apps can be developed. Next problem is cyber security. As pointed out by, write down, as pointed out by World Bank, India has seen rapid progress in digital public infrastructure. In digital public infrastructure, DPI, with the help of UPIs. You know what are UPIs? Right, they are asked in your prelims also. UPI, mobile transfers and JAM. What is JAM? Yes, Gv10, Aadhaar and mobile. That means every citizen is given this Aadhaar, and this Aadhaar is linked to your mobile, and it is linked to your bank account. The government has given every citizen of our country JAM. They said that use this JAM to buy bread. Use the JAM to buy bread. That is what the government has said. India has made tremendous progress in terms of this UPIs in the digital public infrastructure. Right done. But the problem is related to cyber security. As pointed out by second ARC in its report on e-governance, and economic survey and Niti Aayog, India is not spending enough on cyber security measures. Still, second generation cyber security measures are used. Second generation cyber security measures are used. Whereas in Europe and America, fifth generation cyber security measures are used. Neither public sector banks nor private sector enterprises are investing enough in cyber security mechanisms. What should be done? What is the solution? It should be made mandatory. For any organization to invest in cyber security measures. So that they can retain the confidence of their customers. Since they are not doing it in a voluntary manner, it should be made mandatory. Next problem with e-governance is data protection and data privacy. Data protection and data privacy. It has been observed that personal data, personal data of individuals is being grossly misused. Personal data is being grossly misused by institutions to promote their business interests. As you must have seen, there are so many cases against Facebook also for selling your personal information, right? Similarly, these organizations, they keep on selling the data to so many people. Whenever you log on to any website or anything, they will ask you so much of your personal data. It is being sold to insurance companies. It is being sold to financial institutions. They keep on calling you. It is being sold to big, consumer products companies. There is no data protection nor data privacy. So what is the solution? Recently, Parliament has passed Data Protection and Data Privacy Bill, DPDP, to prevent the misuse of personal information. Of individuals. Right? This is what another solution that we talk about. Next, what are the other problems with e-governance in India? What are other problems? Did we discuss all of them? Anything left? Write down. Next problem is e-governance in India has only focused on computerization of service delivery mechanisms. Computerization of service delivery mechanisms without ensuring efficiency or accountability. Without ensuring efficiency or accountability of public servants. For example, e-FIRs have helped citizens to file FIRs without going to police stations. But it has not led to any improvement in investigation mechanisms. Or in convictions. Then what is the solution? What should be done? Solution. Focus of e-governance should be on improving the quality of service delivery mechanisms, by fixing accountability at each and every level within the hierarchy. Objective performance evaluation should be done in terms of consumer satisfaction. So that e-governance can help in realizing objectives of good governance. Next, the government should also involve private sector, in brackets public-private partnerships. The government should also involve private sector, civil society organizations, and media to improve the quality of e-governance in the country. It should also define objectives of e-governance define objectives of e-governance in a quantifiable manner. In quantifiable manner, so that performance evaluation can be done. Performance evaluation can be done in an objective manner. There should be proper feedback mechanism. There should be proper feedback mechanism involving stakeholders. Involving stakeholders to evaluate the performance of e-governance. To evaluate performance of e-governance in a regular manner. Right. So that is what we say as part of solutions. So this is about e-governance. And tomorrow also I think we have class. Tomorrow I think 1 o'clock. And tomorrow we will look at civil services reforms. Next topic is civil services reforms. We will be looking at all the reforms to be implemented in our civil services, from recruitment to removal. What kind of recruitment process that we have now, and what kind of reforms should be implemented. The questions are repeatedly asked in both our polity governance papers and also in ethics paper. So tomorrow we will look at civil services reforms.